All right, and welcome back to the Rice Report, everybody. Eric Rice here. Of course, I'm your host. We talk about the three things you're never supposed to talk about in the world: money, politics, and religion. And I always forget to do this. People ask me to do it all the time. If you like this video, we're pretty shadow banned. If you like what we talk about here, please subscribe, share, put it on social media, get it out there, clip it, share whatever part of this you want, do whatever you need to. Let's help get the word out there for these conversations we're having, which have been really incredible for the last 7 or 8 months. So today we are joined by Sheriff Chad Bianco, who is running for governor of California, one of the top states in this country economically through population, but also with difficulties, corruption, issues happening, legal issues, tax issues, all kinds of things coming. So please, everybody, welcome Sheriff Chad Bianco, hopefully one day governor of the state of California. How are you today, Chad?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. And that was a great introduction. Perfect description of California.
Yeah, it's a mess. It's a mess. And there's plenty of people like me who lived there for over a decade, who don't live there, who have actually said, I will never move back there unless it's completely revamped. And I think the last statistics I've seen are about 1 million people have left California since COVID. And of course, they've been replaced with 800,000 new suckers who want to pay high taxes and have no law enforcement and all kinds of things. There's always going to be a new sucker, right? Like I feel like a Newsom should go to church every morning and thank God for making fools that keep coming there, which is why you are taking time out of your life as sheriff, serving the people to raise money, to learn politics, to get into politics at the highest level. California politics are global. Just to remind everyone, California is basically its own country. It's one of the largest economies in the world, one of the largest populations in the state. I think it's the largest population. I think Texas is pretty close to it now.
Yeah, we're definitely, I think we have like 5 or 6 million more, but they're close. But we're definitely the largest population, fourth largest economy, which is kind of unfortunately, at this particular time, the Democrat Party is using that as something like they did something good. But the reality is we've been number 5 for forever. Yeah. And we now became number 4 because Japan is failing, not because we're doing better. It's because Japan failed. So it's they jump on that to say we're the 4th largest economy, but we should be. With 40 million people in this state, and what we have here, what we used to have here that's all leaving is the manufacturing, the businesses, those types of things that are supposed to stimulate the economy. It should be a no-brainer that we're number 5 or number 4. But my whole idea is, my entire life, I'm very athletic and very competitive. And my question, for really 20 years was, well, why are we happy with number 5? Why are we happy with number 4? Why aren't we number 2? We'll never be number 1. America is number 1, but California should be number 2. And that truly is what I'm going to strive for in the 8 years that I'm California's governor. Is by the end of that 8, we'll be the 2nd largest economy by stimulating our own instead of holding it back with government.
The economy is a major issue there. So every time these companies leave, and there are companies that are moving into my backyard, so I know that's happening. They're leaving California, coming to Texas and the Dallas area. How do you replace those jobs? That's the question, right?
Yeah, and that's the sad part about where we are, that nobody's talking about. The media doesn't talk about it because they're kind of on the side of the Democrat Party, and they're controlled by the Democrat Party, which has a supermajority here, and it's by design. They want a bigger government. They want more government control. And the only way you can do that is take away private control. So they're forcing businesses out. And if you ask any business why they left, it's because of business regulations and business taxes. Bottom line, we are the least friendly state in the country for business. And you have places like Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Utah, Colorado. Well, not so much Colorado anymore, but there's like a list of 8 states. And even some Democrat states now are saying, hey, we've got to bring more businesses in. That's how the economy gets built. And you make it friendly for business. It's not rocket science. It's really common sense. So when you ask all of the businesses why they left, it's because of business regulation and taxes. Obviously, you have to eliminate the business regulations and the taxes. And when you do that, all those businesses come back, or you encourage people to start a business. It's almost impossible in California to start a small business. Yeah. They do everything they can to prevent you with the upfront costs and regulations and fees and all of those things, and a year and a half to get through the process. It's like, I'll just stay in my job. It's like, I don't have the time and the effort. I can't do it for free. So it discourages the startups of businesses. You have to be wealthy to begin with to start a new business. It can't be, get out of college and you've got these great ideas and you want to have your own business. So you can't do that here. And so all we have to do is have the mentality of what's it going to take to bring those businesses back. And I understand you said it perfectly. No one that left is ever coming back until the state gets fixed, because they left for a reason. Even a workers leave. The population, that's why businesses leave. The consumers, the residents leave because the cost of living is the highest in the country. Taxes are the highest in the country. Their own personal regulations in their personal lives, in their homes, in their communities, the worst in the country. It's the thumb on you, keeping you from making things better in your own lives, is the worst in the country. And our education system is the worst in the country. And so if you're trying to improve yourself, if you're trying to work harder, California is the only state in the country that punishes you more the harder you work. The harder you work, the more you want to better yourself, the more they're going to take from you. And it's backwards. And so the people are leaving because of almost the same reasons businesses are leaving. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to say, look, we've got to fix these problems, because all of the people left absolutely love California, the idea of California. It's government that's forcing them out. So we change government. You get these big businesses to come back, the small businesses, then you bring more jobs. You bring those people back that say, I want to live in the mountains of Southern California and be an hour away from the beach. I mean, there's no other place in the country that has the geography, the topography that California has, with a coastline, an entire West Coast that's almost the size of the East Coast of a state beaches. So it's so great here. The people are great, the businesses are great, but we're being hampered and held back by a very big government socialistic agenda. And it's finally gotten to the point where they used to ask, what's it worth for you to stay in California? And I think we found out a few years ago. And now people are finally getting the courage to start a new life and to look for something different and go another place to make their lives better. And now we're going to suffer for it. And when you talk about the million people that leave and the million come in, you have to look at what that is. And by design, it's the Democrats are bringing those million people in with the promise of free everything. So you've got a 2 million vote swing for any election that's coming up in the state that it's almost like they're buying their power, they're buying their vote. And we are hoping, in what we are seeing, we're hoping that short-term memory doesn't lapse. We're hoping that people remember why we're in this position, and that this next election is going to be much different, because people have come to the point, even Democrats have come to me and said, I don't believe in a lot of the things that you say. We're going to differ economically and everything else, but we've got to make sure you win, because the state's going to fail without you doing it.
Yeah, someone needs to do it, and someone needs to clean up the election process there. When Newsom was up for recall, unironically, just because I'm a spiritual guy, unironically, Newsom, after COVID and all the other things that he did, and French Laundry, all that kind of stuff, just slapping it in everyone's face that he's above them, he still got, unironically, 66.6%, 666. He got the mark of the beast for his election. So 67% of the state of California, supposedly, theoretically, voted to keep him into office after how he handled COVID. I don't buy that. I live there. Yeah. I moved in 2020. I don't buy that anyone believes he did a good job.
That was almost a slap in the face to every single person in California, because at that time when that was happening, 2022 we had already learned, or we were in the process of learning, that the entire COVID thing, the lockdown, what government did in response to COVID was all a lie. It was government overreach. They were lying to us on a daily basis. It was, how much can we get from you? How much can we charge now? How can we make more money? And how can we hold people back? And we were all learning about it, that it was all him. And the whole state, the media even turned against him. Everyone was against him, and he wins by a 2/3 majority, 66 to whatever those numbers were. There is absolutely no way. And so
No.
for Californians, it was like, are you, and they announce it within minutes of 8 o'clock.
The cleanest vote ever. No recount,
Yeah.
no pipes burst anywhere, just miraculously 66.6% of the vote.
Yeah. We know in the law enforcement world, because it gets reported, especially after 2020, we absolutely know that election fraud is real, election fraud is big, and the Democrat Party is it. It is not Republicans that are trying to cheat in elections. It is Democrats. And California is a perfect example with a supermajority. Mail-in ballots were only designed to cheat. That's it.
That's right.
There's no other reason why you have mail-in ballots. Third world countries, when the United States sends their military into these third world countries to make them better, and they're turning them into a democracy and everything else, they don't mail them ballots. They make everyone come in person, dip your entire thumb in ink that's not going to come off for a week, so we know you only voted once. And so we will do that for other countries to make sure that their elections are secure and real. But in ours, we let dead people, and in Southern California, we let dogs vote. I mean, it was designed for cheating by Democrats. And then rolling that into right now, you have the gerrymandering. Everyone in the country knows that California is and has been forever gerrymandered. It is gerrymandered for Democrats to win everything. It's almost impossible for Republicans, for conservatives to win, even though we know that the state is really truly split. They make a big deal of saying 45% are Democrats and only 25% are registered Republicans. But what I see in that is 55% are not Democrat.
That's right.
And so they've gerrymandered these elections to make us all really believe that, well, there's no chance of winning. It's 20 points in favor of Democrats in my district, so I'm not even going to vote. And that's what happens. You said the biggest thing in this election that's ruined our country, you said it earlier today, is the three things we aren't supposed to talk about are money, politics, and religion. And if we would have been talking about money, politics, and religion for the last 60 years, we would not be in this position today. They conditioned us to not talk about the things that are destroying our lives. We should all be caring about the absolute lack of respect that government has for our money. Everyone should be talking about that. We should be talking about religion, about values, about integrity, about ethics, about the things that whether you're Christian or not, you can be atheist if you want, but if you have any intelligence in your brain or common sense, you have to know and realize, because the rest of the world knows and realizes it, America was only built great because of Christian values. And the founding fathers even said, this document, this Constitution, this form of government is only designed for ethical, moral, Christian valued people. And if the country ever becomes not that, this government will not work. And so they convinced us to never talk about religion. And they've convinced us that religion, the division between politics and religion has to be there, and you can't combine the two. And that is absolutely a lie. That's not how it was designed. Religion was supposed to influence government. It was designed so government could not influence or restrict religion. And I don't even have to talk about, I'm not saying Christianity. It can be Buddha, it can be Muslim, it can be, I don't care what religion it is. All of those religions at the core have some of those same values that make us a civilized society. And we've gone away from that. And now we are voting, Christian Democrats are voting against their Christian values and beliefs. And we're suffering from that now. And what we hope in this next election, and we're seeing it a little bit, is the churches and some of these much bigger pastors and influential pastors have realized that now, that they're not going to lose their nonprofit funding, and they're starting to talk about that and convince their churchgoers to vote. 60% of people that go to church don't vote, and that's a sad statistic. We could win in California every single race for a conservative Christian values. We could win every race if just the people that go to church vote.
Yeah, well, so I have dead on in many ways, but it's important to separate religion from faith. And pastors and churches, many of them are just as corrupt as Democrats.
Oh, yes.
And I mean, there are heretics on pulpits all over the world,
Yes.
and
Every
California has a
every
lot of them.
single thing that is good, someone is going to get involved in that to make it bad.
That's how the devil works.
It most certainly is. And I'll even, I don't want to, not to talk bad about cops, but we're in the limelight all the time.
Yeah.
And we just had a deputy that was arrested for committing a crime, and I've got 4,400 employees. We're not perfect. There's one perfect person in the history of the world. It isn't me. It isn't any of my employees. But they concentrate on cops and say, "Oh, good, look, all cops are bad because Sheriff Bianco had another one of his deputies arrested." But every single enterprise or every single industry, every single business has employees get arrested. That doesn't make the business bad. It doesn't make the environment bad. It just makes bad people. There are evil, bad people out there. They get into law enforcement and then realize that they can manipulate their position for their own personal gain, and then that's where the devil comes into play. You've got the angel and the devil on your shoulder, and you got to listen to the right one. And when you don't, then you get in trouble. And I think that's really where we are. And that's exactly what you just said. Every single church and every single pastor is not there for the right reason.
Right.
We would like to think that they are. And in general,
actually,
they are. But we have to know that there are some that are not.
Yeah, and as a strong man of faith, I also believe in the separation of state and church, and everyone does. That's what made this country great, because the church used to run the state, and that's the last thing we want, because that brought on 1,250 years of pure monarchical tyranny. So it's a difficult challenge, but it's not about religion. It's not about who you pray to. It's about value systems that are taught, and those value systems in California are being torched. You could try to raise your kids in a holy environment, yet they go to school and a demonic transgender is going to be reading a book to them. These are infiltrations into the minds and hearts of people that are demonizing people, that are making and I don't care what anyone says to me. That's demonic. That's demonic. And I don't care what anyone says, because your money is being torched by the people in Sacramento. They don't care. You stated that very eloquently. They do not care whether you have money or not. They care whether they do. And they are in control. They are in complete control of that state. The politics are corrupt as well. Many of the Republicans that get into office there get in probably because the Democrats want them in. That's pretty stated at this point. And they will bend a knee because, well, why would I stick with my guns? Because I'm going to lose anyway. You stated it very eloquently. Riverside County and Orange County, people don't realize this, are very conservative counties. You can go north of San Francisco. The entire state is conservative. You can go from the Inland Empire all the way into, the next state, and that is completely conservative. You just have these three major cities that are burdens, and they dominate: Sacramento, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. And you can't control that stuff from where you are now. As a governor, how do you balance the system? Let's say you win the election, you're in office. Changing taxes is going to take a hand of God to get votes to do that. I don't think that's ever going to happen in California. I just don't think the tax situation will ever change. How do you start there?
Yeah, I think it's going to. And here's the reason why. Everyone in California is tired of taxes. We're tired of being taxed to death, whether it's when we buy it, when we work for it and get paid and taxed, or the things that we buy and get taxed, or the property, everything is a fee and a tax in California. And I think the problem that we have had in California is predominantly everyone, we're selfish people. People are always selfish, and you care about yourself. You work hard, you try and make your life better. For me, it was about my wife, my kids, my home, make sure I take care of my little circle, maybe include a couple of neighbors to make sure the neighborhood is good. But outside of that, you don't pay attention to what's going on. And we allowed government to operate in a dark room behind closed doors that we didn't know what's happening. And the example I'll give you of this is public safety. All of a sudden, in the last 4 years, people are starting to blame cops for why aren't you arresting these people? Why didn't you keep them in jail? And they just got back out. And we have to tell them, this is not new. This happened in 2014. It's been going on for 10 years, but you're just finally realizing it because we weren't paying attention. Media was not paying attention, or they weren't doing their job in exposing Sacramento. And that's truly what I did in Riverside County. My board of supervisors, I'm not going to say, well, we were doing a lot of things wrong in this county. And I went in there saying, I'm not afraid to stand up and tell everybody where the failures are. I'll tell you what we're doing wrong and that I'm going to do my best to fix it. But I'm also going to tell you along the way that I'm fixing it and what are the boundaries of me not fixing it. And if it's you, then I'm going to expose you for you being the one that doesn't want what the people want. Good. And I think that's what's going to happen in Sacramento. They know going in there, and I've learned this over the last 3 years because I've been very vocal about just the public safety realm, fighting laws that make it more difficult for me to protect you instead of making it easier for criminals to live a life of criminality. That's truly what they're doing. And I started, because I was so vocal and because I was making a difference, I started getting Democrats that would call my office or my legislative assistant that I have embedded in Sacramento and saying, hey, this is the bill I'm going to propose. Let me know if he's going to oppose it, because we'll make changes so he doesn't come out and expose, that we're doing something wrong. We want to make him okay with it. And then it switched from public safety to regular things too. So I'm getting bills given to me, and they're allowing me to, and I'm a sheriff of Riverside County, and lawmakers from the north part of the state are reaching out saying, don't fight me on this bill. How can I make it so you'll be okay with it? Just stay neutral. You don't have to be okay with it, but stay neutral. Don't oppose me. And we're making those changes. It's working. And the reason is because they're afraid of being exposed. So with me as the governor, if I have to have daily press conferences on the Capitol steps, telling the media and telling Californians which lawmakers are opposed to tax cuts, you cannot, a normal Californian, a hardworking Californian that has a job, no one is going to say, I want to pay more taxes.
That's right.
Every single one of them are going to say, stop taxing me. And so when I get up and say, I would love to stop taxing you, but these 10 assembly members and these 5 senators are preventing that from happening, they are not going to get elected again. They might even get recalled immediately. And those lawmakers, they're only there to get elected again.
That's right.
We have to realize that. That is their mission, is to smoke screen their constituents to elect them again, because you said it very nicely. I don't say it as nicely. They are only there to make money, every single one of them. The bills that they pass to raise taxes, they don't pay their own gas. The state pays their gas. The cost of food and groceries, the state gives them money every day for their food and their groceries. They are immune to everything that we have to pay for. And then if any person out there believes that there is not money exchanging hands behind the scenes for these people to support special interests that make absolutely no sense when we say, how did that bill get passed? And yet a lot of them got money. And I'm telling you, putting a lawman in Sacramento to expose these and look into them and have someone looking into these dishonest, unethical, immoral, fraudulent activities, it's going to stop. One person has to get arrested and the rest say, holy crap, I guess he was serious. We can't do that anymore, because we absolutely know that's what's happened. And I use myself as an example. I have 32 years in public service. I make a good living. I supported my family. My kids never really, we had to teach them, no, you can't get everything. We had to budget and all of those things. And I make good money. I know that for the last 20 years, 15 years guaranteed, I make more money than our assembly members and our senators in state government.
Sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Legitimately. Why are they living in $1 million mansions? Why are they being able to afford the $150,000 car that they're driving? I can't do that, and I make more money than them, and I've done it for 20 years. So the only thing I'm saying is we have to realize that's happening. We have to make sure it stops, and we have to get back to a government that actually represents its people. And when they're exposed for not, they're going to go along with me. When I'm telling, the taxes are the biggest thing. Taxes and building regulations. There is not one business owner in this state who should not be supporting and endorsing me and making sure I win, because I'm going to take away all of your business issues that you have that are driving you out of business. And consumers, I'm going to lower your taxes. By the time I'm done with 8 years, I'm going to eliminate your state taxes. We are going to make the state run so efficiently that the largest economy in the world will actually take care of its residents, and we will not have to pay a state income tax. No one should not be voting for me. And it's unfortunately, it's common sense, but we just have to make sure we get that message out. We have to get people that don't necessarily vote. We have to get them to vote. And it's eventually going to be just holding the government officials that are there responsible for the people that they represent, because right now they couldn't care less. There's not, I can't say there's not one, because there might be one or two lawmakers in California who actually care about other people more than themselves.
Ooh, that's being generous, Sheriff.
Well, they are, if they are there, they are the extreme minority.
Yes.
Because you only have to go on there is not a mother in this state who should be supporting anyone from me, simply because of the attacks on our children and taking away parental rights that I am completely against. It is a mother and a father's job to raise your kids, not the government, and nobody is talking about that. And
and fathers too. Let's not forget the pro pedophile laws that are in California. That's one of the reasons I left. When I started seeing them making it simple for pedophiles to molest children. Fathers should be concerned about that. Mothers should be concerned about the fact that when you send your kids to school in California, they're property of the state and everything's private. They don't have to tell you anything. These are ridiculous laws.
Well, I'm going to tell you about pedophilia and a 32-year law enforcement officer who has a very vested interest and passion for protecting our kids from molestation, from victimization. The number one thing that a groomer has to do to a child is gain their trust and get them to keep a secret.
Yep.
And now you have an entire California education system that is pushing, you need to keep secrets from your parents. You just tell me all of your issues and tell me all your problems, because you can trust me, because I love you and we're going to take care of you and everything's going to be all great. That is called grooming. And that is what our school system is doing. So for these people out there that are claiming that it's conspiracy theory, or that you are saying you're being over dramatic or something like that, from a 32-year law enforcement professional who I have made sure that our human trafficking child exploitation team is the best in the country because we need to protect our kids. I am telling you, this is grooming. This has nothing to do with
100%.
anything other than taking your kids away from you by secrecy, by government control, and it is absolutely wrong.
It opens the door. It puts that wavelength in the child's head that you can keep secrets, when the entire purpose of being a parent is that your kids don't keep secrets. They're going to, of course. I mean, we all keep secrets from people, but as a parent, you want your child to be open and tell you everything. It's such a good point that this is institutionalized grooming that leads to a society of pedophiles. Because let's be honest, out of the 800,000 that moved to California, many of them are going to not a large percentage, but let's call it, 2,000 new pedophiles move there because laws are favorable to them.
So, that's 100% true. That is an absolute fact. It's an irrefutable fact.
Yeah.
If I got into a debate with a Democrat over that fact, they would blame me. They would just start calling me Trump to try and change the subject, because there's no factual arguments that happen. We turn everything into emotional. And then when you're in your emotional side of your brain, there's no more logic that's happening. There's no reasoning that's happening. It's all emotion. And that's been that's been their game plan for a long time, is to convince us that you have a society that's making, or a law society, a law government agenda that is all about decriminalization. They're making date rape drugs legal.
Yes.
They are making it legal for you to traffic a 16 and 17-year-old child, and everyone's not jumping up and down saying, this is insane. What there's no rational discussion behind saying that it's okay to human traffic a 16-year-old girl or boy. It's okay. We're only going to make it a misdemeanor that never has a consequence. It is insane what California is doing in the indoctrination, the government control, the taking away of parental rights, of business rights, of personal rights, in the name of government controlling everything. And I have a feeling, back to this entire start of this, that when this is all talked about and exposed, and I'm not going to not let them talk about it. I have a big platform not only on social media, but in the media. The media loves me because I'm good for a soundbite. I will say things that should be said that a lot of people are too afraid to say, and they know I'm going to say it. So that platform is going to be there not only because of who I am and what I've shown myself to be over the last 7 years as a sheriff, but as the governor. The governor has more influence than anyone in this state. And to say that the media is not going to show up and do live press conferences every morning for 15 minutes while I give a state of the state, I mean, it's going to happen. And these lawmakers are going to have to come in line, because we know that the majority of the state is tired of the direction we're going.
Yeah, I mean, look at the trajectory of who has been governor of California. So it went from a muscle-bound actor who's from a foreign country to basically Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, to a completely created construct in Gavin Newsom, who, I know people who went to high school with Gavin Newsom. He is absolutely not what he claims to be, per their personal firsthand information. And now we need a real person. We need somebody who actually has a verifiable career working in the real world. And to be honest with you, you're a sheriff now, but you started out as a cop like everyone else, and you've dealt with the worst of the worst, the scum of the earth, and you've seen everything in that progress. This is the best question you're going to get today, Chad. Is Sacramento as disgusting as the first 5 years of the people you arrested during your career as a cop? I mean, from a moral standpoint, they don't seem to be much better than a pedophile or a drug dealer or a murderer that you find on the street. They look nicer, they wear better clothing, and they live in nicer homes, but they're still criminals.
You kind of answered it for me. And what I have learned, I've always thought this. Getting up to where I became the sheriff, but then becoming the sheriff. And for people that don't know or don't pay attention, I'm the highest elected official in my county. I have the second largest sheriff's department in the state, the fourth largest in the country, $1.3 billion budget. I have a massive business, if you want to call it that, that I have to run and that I have to operate and that I have to be responsible for. And so in that realm, and because I'm so large, I am an influential, somewhat of a powerful person in government.
Yes.
So putting my 32 years into play, exactly the question that you just asked to that, I have always thought that the people who are in Sacramento are 100 times worse than the people that I arrest, the people that we have to deal with. Because in my line of work, in the criminal world, I certainly don't agree with people who use drugs, with people who steal, with people who lie, with people who victimize other people, with murder, all of those things. But I will tell you this, I talked to all of them. It wasn't like I just went out and arrested someone and then there's just silence until I book them into jail. There's conversations that happen with criminals and cops. And there's, especially in the 90s, there was a respect between criminals and cops. And I understood why they did what they did, because whether it was their situation, whether it was, whatever it was, they had a reason that they could articulate why they were in the position that they were in. I certainly don't agree with it. And they know they had to change. They had to somehow get out of that. And so I get it. Even murder. I mean, if you look at murder is completely unacceptable. But I see why they did it. I mean, I see why drug dealers murder other drug dealers. I
Yeah.
see why gang members murder other people. You don't get to do that though. Politics, you shouldn't be dishonest, unethical, immoral, working for government who is trying to make everyone else's lives better. The motto that I changed our department to is service above self. You have to care about other people more than you care about yourself, or you can't be in public safety, and certainly you can't be a leader. All of the people that are in Sacramento, there are no leaders there. We have Newsom is not a leader. Newsom is exactly what you said. I've never heard it put that way, but he is a construct. There is nothing legitimate about what we see on social media or the news. Every time he opens his mouth, it is a dishonest lie or a misrepresentation or a distortion of somehow of some fact or some statistic. He is made up. And I have had the same people or the same types of conversations with people that say, outside of Governor Newsom, he doesn't believe in any of this.
No.
That's not what he thinks. And that makes him a million times worse than that gang member who's selling drugs, because he is supposed to be representing this state and everything that is good about America, about California, about our government. You can say what you want about our government, but it's the best form of government in the history of the world. And we get bad people that get into it that are making, it's not the government that's wrong. It's the people in it. And then here's what makes it worse. The people who are in Sacramento are changing the laws to make what they do legal.
Yes. Blatantly. They don't even hide it.
No.
The days of hiding their deception are over. They have complete control. They do not care.
Yeah. There is going to be, and people don't even know it. The general public does not know some of the laws that have been passed, that the bills that they all signed on to, that then the governor signed off on it too, that eliminated their responsibility for what they just did, or exempted them from what they just did for everybody else. And there will be a pages long list of old laws that I will absolutely require the legislature to change before we move forward with passing new laws. Good. Because that is why we're in the position that we're in, is they've been operating in a vacuum, in a closed door vacuum, with everybody patting each other on the back, with no thought of consequence for decades. And we have to get to the point where the entire state is going to say, look, these are the things that are holding us back that I want changed within the next 30 days. And you need to start bombarding your legislature with the demand that they change it within the next 30 days. And I guarantee you we're going to get it done.
That's good. That's a great place to start. Great place to start. I heard an analogy from another expat of California that I talked to quite a bit. And I said, what are your thoughts about California? Because we both said, hey, would you move back? And I said, listen, I'll move back to California. I'll bring my business back to California if I have the same taxation as I have in Texas. Good luck with that, right? If they stop polluting school systems and society at large. People talk about the school system. The society is broken. Mm-hmm. Like the promenade in Santa Monica is vacant. It's destroyed. Venice Beach is zombie land. Like, it is so out of hand. And I said, the thing about California, like you articulated, like where I lived in Burbank for a long time. And when I moved from San Diego, La Jolla to Burbank. And when I got there, it was like, man, I could drive an hour and 45 minutes and go snowboarding or skiing. I could go 20 minutes and go surfing. That part is, so I go, what's the best analogy you can give? He said, California is kind of like a Ferrari on the car lot that is so clean and it's really like beautiful and you want to buy it and it's affordable. And you open up the door and you realize that homeless people have been defecating in it for the last 6 months and you can't get rid of the stench. Once you open the door, that stench is there. So we need somebody to go inside and clean this thing out, because I think if you had favorable business environment, of course, you're going to need that to supply jobs that aren't government jobs. And you had a favorable tax situation where people could work and save and build a life for themselves. And the important thing is you want to put people in a position where they can actually leave California. That's a problem. There's a lot of people who want to leave California who can't afford to. Right. They literally can't afford to leave. So you make a state where it's affordable to leave. Like Texas is very affordable. Everybody goes on vacation. By the way, everyone goes on vacation here. Like in California, I didn't go on vacation for 7 years in California. And when you have that quality of life, you can leave, but you don't want to. And if you can get California back to that where it was in, like, say, the 70s, right?
Yeah.
The 70s was like really the heyday for California. You're gonna turn that state around in such a fashion that, you know, you're gonna set a precedent for the people coming forward. So Sheriff, this is the first time we've talked, and I hope we talk again. But I am genuinely rooting for California after talking to you, because it's going to take a sheriff. The best analogy I'll give for California is like Tombstone, except the red sashes aren't the cowboys. The red sashes are the politicians. You need to send Wyatt Earp in there to clean that place up. And if it takes a shootout at the OK Corral, verbally and politically, then that's what it takes. But eventually, law and order needs to be restored in that state from the top down.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I have 32 years. I didn't get to this position by being unethical, immoral, not a leader. I mean, all of those things that you want out of the quintessential lawman, that was a requirement of me to have, to not only get to this position, but to have the support of every other sheriff in the state, of the chiefs of police in the state, of all of the law enforcement officers in the state, are all looking at me because I represent all that is good about our society, about our law, about maintaining law and order and all of those things. And when I go to Sacramento, that doesn't change. A lot of, that you can retire and you can, go live in a little bubble and not affect anything in the world. But when I retire and when I have to leave this office and I have to give up this office, there is a thing that is called reserve, and I will be a reserve until I die. I will volunteer my time for law enforcement, so I'm actively still a law enforcement officer. I will be the first governor who is also a deputy sheriff, and I will be. That corruption is not going to happen with me standing in front of it. I not only am I doing the right thing for the right reasons for the constituents of California, but when I see and hear of all these illegal things, someone is going to pay the consequence for that. And you're truly right that we have a shirt that we're selling that a merchandise shirt and other things, but across it's a picture of a Western type sheriff. It's got a cool mustache, but
you've got a great mustache, Chad. Your mustache is top notch, man.
Oh, thank you. But it says across the top, only the sheriff can save us now. And truly, we have come to the place that we are so criminal in state government, and we are so ethical and fraudulent, or unethical and fraudulent. Somebody has to go in there and stop it. And it is not going to be another politician. It is not going to be a lifelong politician. It's not going to be a celebrity. I like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I loved his movies. The Terminator will always be the Terminator. But that's the only reason he won, is because he was the most popular person at the time. And the whole Terminator thing of going into government, that's what people expected. And unfortunately, I think he tried, he realized he couldn't, and he gave up. And I think that's going to be the difference between what California gets with me and what they didn't get by electing the last Republican. Is I don't give up at anything. And I am the most competitive person in the world. And it's never a no or never an I can't. It's let's figure out how we're going to do this. It's the right thing to do. Now we need to figure it out, and we need to make sure we do it. And that's going to be the mentality for everything. How am I going to make the rest of the legislature ethical? Well, I'm going to arrest a couple of them that break the law and that are doing bad things. And then they're going to say, holy shit, he was being serious, and we can't do that anymore. And you make an example, a consequence, and that's what happens. Public safety. We have to make people safe in this state. It doesn't matter if I lower taxes. It doesn't matter if I lower business regulations. If the business regulations are getting stolen dry from all of their goods, or the business owners, they have to close shop because they can't make money because all the things that are getting stolen, and the criminals aren't being held accountable. There's got to be that shift back to what government is supposed to be there for. It's supposed to be for public safety, infrastructure, education, and make sure that people's lives are easy, not that government's controlling their lives. And when you do that, That's what makes things better. And I'm going to tell you, the business thing where you said that the taxes and everything else, I'm going to do it. I mean, it's going to happen. California will not have an income tax. We will make sure that our economy is what is driving the funding of business. And I've got to be, this is where, government panics, because government should panic with me coming into place, because it's going to be slashed. I mean, you mentioned a little bit earlier, it was in a different context, but government jobs are not how you stimulate the economy. Government jobs hurt the economy because you're taking from somebody else. Government gives us nothing. All they do is take. So there are going to be massive, massive job cuts from state government. And it's not like you're going to be unemployed, because there's going to be plenty of other jobs for you to get from all the businesses that can now thrive and expand. You're just not going to get a free ride in government where you just show up and get a paycheck. And what we're finding in the state of California, you don't even show up anymore. You just get your paycheck for being at home, and once in a while you log onto your computer to say that you did it for the day. Government is going to be completely changed with me at the helm of government, because it's not eliminated. I'm a fan of government. I believe in what the founding fathers believed in, that we had to have
we need something, of course. Yeah,
you have to have it, but it's got to be for the right reasons, and it's got to be only for those reasons. And when you have that, then the rest of the state just absolutely flourishes. The state has taken control from local governments, from cities and towns and counties, and they've imposed restrictions that the state imposes on everyone. That's absolutely wrong. That's not how our government was designed. But they changed the law so you couldn't sue them because the law says you can. It's asinine what we have allowed California to become because of the truly, that was in the 60s or in the 50s. I mean, in 1956 and 1958 is when the legislature became Democrat, and they've been Democrat ever since. The Assembly and the Senate have been majority Democrat since the 50s. And the only reprieve we've had are a couple of Republican governors that have stopped us from collapse. And now you have the last two governors just didn't care. This one truly doesn't care about California. He's more interested in the day he became governor was only, how am I going to be president?
Yeah.
And he truly forgot about California.
Never going to happen either. Give up.
No, it's never going to happen.
That's never going to happen. Nobody's voting for that guy.
All I'm offering is we're going to take that back. We're going to actually give you the government that you're supposed to have. We're still going to be there. We're still going to care about infrastructure. We're still going to care about our social programs. We're still going to make sure that we get all these people off of drug and alcohol addiction and mental illness so they quit living on the streets. We know that that's a society problem. That's what government is supposed to fix, but they're not supposed to enable. And that's what government has become, is a money laundering scheme to enable all of these things just to get them reelected again. And those are the things that are going to stop with me. I'm going to get elected again without money because the people of California want me in there. It's like, holy crap, he's actually doing things for us. It's not going to be who's going to give me the most money for my campaign so I can lie to you the last 3 months of commercials and mailers that you're going to get. I mean, that's what politics.
That's the standard pattern.
Yes.
That is, I talk about this all the time. Like, I don't trust politics or voting at all because it's a pretty simple equation. The one who raises the most money always wins. How is that a free market? How is that a free and fair election in any capacity? Because taking those big donors' capital, which, by the way, Citizens United needs to be repealed immediately. That is a plague upon a society. But when you start taking in millions and millions of dollars from donors, that doesn't come without strings. I'm a businessman, and I've made political donations, and I made those donations so that my business would have some sort of advantage. I'll be an honest person. I didn't believe in that candidate at all, but if they won, it would make zoning better or something favorable to me. That's how it works, guys. That's the real world. So you need somebody in there who's seen corruption, who knows what corruption looks like from the inside, i.e. a cop. And more importantly, somebody who's been through the political sphere of rising to the ranks of sheriff. So I hope, Sheriff, I hope you get the right money. I hope you get enough money to compete, but the right money is important.
Yeah.
Don't take it from Silicon Valley. That is the absolute pit of hell when it comes to moral standards. But Sheriff, Where can everyone keep up with you? How can they donate? How can they follow your campaign? All the people in California, please start paying attention to Sheriff Bianco and what he's talking about. It's time to start voting for policy and holding people's feet to the fire, and not politicians who you hope do the right thing. That has failed. That has failed for 250 years throughout every democratic republic on the planet. We're the last one standing in any form or fashion of what the original models would have been. And if we don't start working on our local politics, beginning in your school systems and your city councils and working your way up to governor, because those local communities have no chance of being uncorrupt unless if they have a corrupt governor. So you've got to clean the whole system out on your own, California. You've got to do your best. There's so many good people out there. I love a lot of you, all of you, some of you who watch this who know me. I love you to pieces, and I wish for you to have a better life. So, Sheriff, how can people follow your campaign, donate? What can they do to help?
Yeah, I appreciate everybody that's doing it. The donations are going to be big. We've raised more money than any other opponent other than Katie Porter, and we were very close to her. So you can help donate biancoforgovernor.com, and we have shown that we have double the donors that everyone else has. So you don't have to donate the massive amounts. You don't have to max out. Our favorite donation that we're getting, or the most favorite donation, most common, is $20.26. 2026. We make a difference in California, and it's a small investment to change our state, and it's working. So you can sign up to volunteer. You can sign up for information. What I really need people to do is follow me on every social media platform, and every single time I post, please, I'm begging you, share it. It's free. That is how we spread the word. That is how we get name recognition, face recognition. And this is what I'm offering people. I'm not offering you a politician. I will never, ever, ever be a politician. I'm offering you 32 years of proof of service, working for someone else to make other people's lives better. And what we have never voted for that I represent in this election is honesty, transparency, integrity, and most importantly, proven leadership. And that's what we need in California. That's what we should be voting for. And I just need everyone. I'm not doing this for Republicans. I am not doing this for independents or Democrats. I am doing this for Californians who want the California dream, who came here for the California dream, or want their kids to have their California dream. That's who I'm doing this for. So I don't care what party you're registered to. I don't care who you typically vote for. I want you to vote for a leader with integrity that's going to make government work for us again, instead of us working for government.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Sheriff Chad Bianco, hopefully governor of the state, a great state, once great state of California. It can be great again, guys. Everything can turn around. It just takes a bunch of heavy lifting and a bunch of good people willing to put their necks on the line. So, Sheriff, God bless you. I hope that you do fantastic in your campaign. And by the way, people can donate to the campaign if they don't live in California. So it's very important to note. A lot of these Democrats get most of their funding from New York. A lot of it comes from New York, D.C., other places. So you don't have to live in California to support a turnaround of California, because it's good for the entire country.
Yeah, and just because you said, if I could just end on this, there's an old saying, and it's been around forever. So goes California, so goes the rest of the country. Or how goes California, so goes the rest of the country. And we all know that that is true. And right now we're in a weird time that New York is trying to best California in everything that you can do the worst. But California historically has been that place that changes the rest of the country. And unfortunately, we've changed it now with our policies and our government for the worst. And so for the people in other states, I truly do need you to support me. What your businesses and business owners and big business and all of those things need to support California, because you want us to change. You want us to show the rest of the country that this is how good it can be. So please, if you can donate, please support the campaign. It's a small investment in California and America.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sheriff Chad Bianco, wish you all the best, my friend. So God bless you. God bless this country. We'll see you next time here on the Rice Report. Have a good one, everybody.